They had like 14 kids. And that's the most I've ever had in a block. And then like now, just had them in the third block today, and it's down to like 9.
Hello, Poopsie Doodle.
A couple of them tested out.
What's your
and
name,
then a
babe?
couple of them dropped
Where's
out.
the timer and stuff?
It's in that box. Right here, babe.
This one?
Yep.
Thanks.
Are you my timer person?
I am.
Awesome.
You've got the best timer person in my opinion.
Oh,
Don't
yes.
tell the others.
No, girl. You've got the best hostess with the most.
Yeah. Where do you want me sitting?
You could probably sit over there at that desk if you wanted to, babe. Because it's my understanding that between the lines is what's going to be in view. So,
Get a big desk to myself.
yeah.
Is there a piece of paper with this?
What's that?
Is there a piece of paper with this?
A pink paper?
A piece of paper.
Oh, a piece of paper? Which piece of paper do you want?
Probably that one.
This one?
Thank you.
Do you need anything else?
I don't need this one. I just need this drive time down.
Okay.
So,
Alrighty.
thank you.
You're welcome, babe. What's up, babe? Yeah, I'm
I need
very
a pen.
overworked here, so.
I need a pen or pencil.
What do you want?
It doesn't matter. I just need something to write time down.
Does that work?
Yep. Thank you.
Do you want to back up just in case?
Yes.
I will do a pin just in case.
Okay. Thank you.
Make sure you get those back or Mr. Cox will hurt me. What are we talking about?
Nicole, do you want to sprint down to Mr. Napson and get your Bear Ambassador polo to wear to look professional?
Better sprint. That's fast.
In this James room, somebody logged off. They just need to be logged back.
There you are.
We're here.
I figured you would.
What side would you guys like me on?
We know the star.
It's whatever side you want to be on, I think. And you, oh, now, wait a minute. Who are you?
Abner.
Avener, okay. Had female in my mind, sorry. Okay, here's your Mike. What's that?
You're good.
You're good? Oh, let me see here. There you go.
Can I dim the lights? Or the
Yeah,
front
do you
lights?
need to?
Okay, perfect.
I would ask Mr. Cox here.
Can I dim the lights, front lights? Okay. I don't know which ones. Those? Or, there we go.
That work for you?
Yeah,
All right, what else can I do for you, sir?
that's about everything.
Yeah, they're all messed up.
Do you have a clicker?
What's that?
Clicker.
Ooh,
Do we have clicker or no?
Mr. Cox, do you have a, you just have to touch the screen,
Okay.
I guess, then.
That'll work.
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing one in the box.
My bad. Is there not one? Okay,
Nope, you want one? I can see about finding one. Are
that's fine.
you
I'll,
sure?
yeah, I'll just do it.
Okay. I don't want you going home whining that I didn't
Nah,
get
you're
the
fine.
check right.
You're fine. Can you go back a slide, please?
What's that?
Can you go back a slide, please? Because I accidentally touched
I
it.
can try.
Okay. Okay, it's down here.
Is that right?
Yeah. Might just stand on this side. Ooh, oops.
You want,
There.
you okay with this sitting here? Or do you
Yeah,
want to move
that's
it?
fine.
You're supposed to start at 4, is that correct?
Yes.
About 8 minutes, you can. Now, is Amy your sister?
Yes. Do we start exactly at 8, right?
What's that?
Do we start exactly at 4, right?
Exactly at 4, yes. I
Okay.
will shut the door.
Finally got my own room back, so. For now anyways, things are ever changing, so. I've got somebody's gonna use my room half the time next week. Well, my schedule works out again this year where learning days, first, second, and third blocks, like I'm just pushing these classes and I have both my resources on one day. So they're hiring an additional math teacher next year. The following year is gonna take over for Susan and use her room.
Susan's gonna finally retire for good.
For in the meantime,
Is it this year that they have more judges this time? Or,
I think they still needed more judges.
oh, really?
I know they got more presenters this year than normal.
Hmm.
Big.
I think 80.
It's close to 90. Yeah, last year was like 60. Maybe 63 if things didn't go well for you.
It was always small, like I think there was only, yeah, that it is a small, very small class.
Maybe 63 if it doesn't go well for her tonight.
How's your granddaughter?
Really good. She turned 2 in January.
We're gonna go in the May, fly out and spend about 3 weeks. And then they'll get to move next February, and I think it's gonna be Oklahoma. I would leave you closer. California is not acceptable to me.
Are there other options?
The military doesn't care about.
Are there other options? that maybe-
Well, he said
Rather
that
than being overseas?
maybe Florida, or he's already done, 1 year unattended, he's been Virginia, but he's only got 8 years and he can retire. So he said that if he's hoping to get Oklahoma, and then his oldest child, I can't believe she's gonna be 8 next year. That blows my mind.
Could end up in Jacksonville, Florida, and that would
He
be,
said there's paperwork and you can file that she'll start high school in 2 years, and then you can file and say, I think it's in my child's best interest to stay and go and graduate from the high school she started. California. That's pretty out there.
we drove out there last year.
This is both out, I think.
I was really stressed out by the time we got. Los Angeles to San Diego. About 5 minutes of traffic, going along the normal speed, and then all of a sudden, sat there and what's going on, and take off again, go several miles and just stop. There was no rhyme or reason.
Ready as I'll be.
Then you're getting bare minimum stuff.
A lot less. Cutting all that stuff out on the creek. We're changing it.
Ready? Are my judges ready? Well, have you ever heard of the crisis in Chicago that happened around about 4 months ago when it was extremely, extremely cold? And a lot of EV cars, electric cars, were all dead on the side of the road because there was not enough charging stations in the power grid in Chicago. There were about 150 cars abandoned in Chicago at the time. And with all that said, I'm Maverick Arsenov, and it's Combustion versus the Future. What is combustion engine? Well, a combustion engine is a gas or diesel-powered engine that is ran with fossil fuels that come from the ground, and it runs as a gas gas and air come into the chamber where it's called a cylinder, which the piston goes up and a spark ignites the mixture, and it turns the crankshaft that connected to the transmission and rotates the two back tires or the two front tires. And how efficient is it? Well, the efficiency is now way better than it was a couple years back. Now, most cars now on gas-powered cars are about 30 to 45 miles per gallon. And now diesel cars get from 45 to 60 miles per gallon if they are properly maintained, deleted, and tuned. And how hard is it to maintain? Well, you have to maintain them from 5,000 to 10,000 miles on most cars and 12,000 to 15,000 on most semi-trucks and larger trucks. And you have to have all the tires, make sure all the tires are all good always, make sure all the ball joints and all the fittings are all greased up and ready to go. Let's talk about electric vehicles now. Well, electric vehicles run mostly on lithium-ion batteries from nowadays, and they are extremely small cells that are inside the bottom of electric cars. And those cells are extremely dangerous if they come with contact with water, or if you puncture one, it takes up to 10,000 gallons of water to put out. On the other hand, gas cars, if they go up into flames, they mostly take from 500 to 1,000 gallons to put out. And how long do most electric cars last? They last from 50 to 100,000 miles, depending on what kind of motor you have, how strong are your batteries. And when you have a dual motor system, which is a motor in the front and the back that turns each wheel, they mostly get from 150 to 200,000 miles. My bad, sorry. And how long does it charge? Well, most chargers now are called superchargers, which Teslas use nowadays, and other electric cars. And those superchargers, they charge the electric batteries from 0 to 80% in under 45 minutes. Well, from 25 to 45 minutes nowadays. And if you have a home charger, which you plug into the wall, it takes from 8 to 14 hours to charge a full battery. Now let's talk about commercial uses of EVs and why are they better than why are they always preferred more for interior use than gas or propane powered or diesel powered engines. Well, you don't have to spend money on a lot of fuel. You don't have to have ventilation systems installed, and they are extremely expensive nowadays. And you just have to charge them overnight when your warehouse is shut down. And what are the differences between electric and gas-powered or diesel-powered forklifts that are used mostly in warehouses? They don't produce any fumes, any exhaust heat. Your warehouses stay more colder in the summers because there's not enough exhaust heat to go around the whole building. And let's talk about hybrid vehicles now. A hybrid vehicle is a vehicle that runs on gas and electric. The gas motor mostly charges the battery from the electric motor that works as a generator that goes in front with the motor. Through all that, they mostly run from 0 to 20 miles an hour. An electric motor powers the car. When it exceeds 20 miles an hour, then the gas motor kicks in and runs the rest of the way to whatever mileage you would like. And why are hybrid vehicles better than EV vehicles? Well, there is hybrid powered vehicles too. Hybrid plug-in vehicles too. But most hybrid vehicles nowadays you don't have to charge them at all. There's the batteries charged through the generator that's inside the car that the motor runs. And that's why I'm That's why, in my opinion, it's a lot better than electric cars. And you don't have to wait from 30 to 40 minutes to charge your batteries, or you don't have to wait 12 to 14 hours to charge your own batteries at home. You just fill up and go. It's a lot more practical than charging your cars. And with all that said, my product is my truck that I fixed. I got it from an insurance auction, which it was hit in the front, as you guys can see, and there was a lot of rust underneath the truck on the rocker panels. That was all replaced by me and my mentor. And why did I pick it? Well, I picked it because I love trucks and cars. My dad works them always, and I sometimes help around, but I try to do mostly school and try to find a new career path. But now, I worked with this truck that I have. I worked with it a little bit, and I learned that there's a lot of great things to learn about working with trucks and cars, and I wanted to be my passion now. And why is it dying culture? Well, it's dying culture because no one wants to do hard work now. Everybody wants to sit behind the office desk, do computer work, do e-commerce or trading stocks and stuff, and no one wants to get outside and get dirty. And I wanted something challenging me. I wanted something to challenge me because I wanted my brain to think harder and harder each day. I mean, working on my newly purchased truck, I always wanted to make sure everything is perfect, make sure everything was amazing and worked perfectly fine. And what did I learn? Well, I learned that how to do Bondo work. That is when you sand down a dent or a big deep scratch inside your paint, and that goes through the paint into the metal. You sand that all the way down to the metal, and then pull out the dents with a welder. And then after that, you sand the welds down and you put Bondo over it. And after the Bondo work, you put paint and primer. And paint and primer is extremely expensive nowadays. Paint costs from $150 to $250 per gallon, not per gallon, but per pint. And that was extremely expensive for what it cost. And the primer nowadays costs from $60 to $200 per gallon. And under the truck there was rust, and the rockers were all rotted out from the rust. And I sanded them all down, pulled off all the rockers and all the rust, and sanded it all down. Put epoxy primer inside the holes I curated, and put new rockers, and welded the outside of them. And that was me getting ready to paint my hood on my truck. And that was me primering the hood on the truck. And that's me putting the new bumper on that I just purchased. And that's the hood that I was getting ready to paint it, because there's a couple of little dents here and there. And that's me wiring up the headlights. I never did wiring before, but it was something out of the order. It was fun though. I had a great time working with this project. And now let's talk about the breakdown of the cost. Well, it was extremely expensive. The truck itself was $4,500. And it came out to just about $6,335. And that was before and after pictures, after I got it all finished, and I decided to take nice pictures of it. And for my conclusion, let's talk about my challenges. I had a lot of horrible days sometimes. I had to learn how to weld with really thin sheet metal, which I burned right through it, and I had to have my mentor help me try to weld it. It was a journey at the most. And I had to make sure no holes were in the rocker panels, because I didn't want dust and water to get into the rockers and rust out again. So I'd seal all the holes inside with a silicone, and I'll sand all that down again and get ready for painting the rocker panels. And what would you pick now? Would you rather sit in the cold in Chicago and wait for the charging station to open up, or would you rather go and drive and pump some gas in your car? Sorry. Do my judges have any questions?
Is that the first vehicle that you worked on like that?
Yeah.
Your next project.
I don't know yet.
So is this something, you know, when you were talking about finding a career path, something that you might lean towards?
Yeah.
You know, automotive, body
yeah.
repair, something?
I'm planning to go into it. Yeah. Is that all the questions?
I've got one big bank job.
I will say. Did you enjoy working on it?
It was an adventure, I'd say. It was
Can I
fun.
ask, who was your mentor?
So a guy from Springfield. His name is Andre.
Did you have like time, like was it hard to get together with him?
Oh yeah. He had his own business. He did automotive too. So
So did you have to go to him to do it?
yeah, I had the truck over there. And sadly now, funny story. So like 2 months, I think a month, about 4 weeks back, we had the really big storm that hit, and it was like this big of a tree hit right on the hood of it and crippled it.
On your truck?
Yeah,
After you had it done?
yeah.
Oh
man.
my gosh.
And then now the insurance took it, so they're doing like seeing how much it will cost to fix everything. So sorry, I don't have that right now.
Oh, you don't know if they're gonna fix it yet or not?
No, I don't know if they're gonna sell it off to like insurance auction again, or they're gonna hand it back to me and for all the repairs. So
Would you fix it again?
What year
maybe.
did you pick up?
It's like a 04. 2004.
That's quite a job replacing those rocker panels.
Oh yeah, it took I think, and all was like 14 hours just to repair the rocker panels. It was interesting.
Good job.
Excellent.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have to say my name when I read the title? Okay. Do I just set it right here? Maybe. Dad, you can come over here. Is he sleeping? Do I need to stand by my poster or? Okay. Oh. It's okay. Co. My face is probably bright red. Okay, I don't have one of the button thingies. Okay. Oh, yeah. Because on one of my slides it messed up and I have to like click like a million times.
And then you see
Okay. Alrighty. Do I need to stand like a certain way? Okay. Alright. Are my judges ready? Alrighty. Giving Back to Those in Need by Dusty DeWitt. Donors are denied every day because of homosexual males or drug users because they want to keep blood donors safe from any infections or diseases they could get by doing a blood transfusion. Oh, maybe. No. Okay. No. Oh, okay. It's very touchy. Accidents all around the world. There are many people who get denied because of AIDS and HIV, or even if they have hepatitis B, they could be denied because they don't want to carry that into anybody else. Tragedies happen every second. Hi, my name's Desi DeWitt, and tragedies, disasters, and diseases happen every second in the U.S. This is because we don't have enough blood for everybody to get a blood transfusion, and technology is better now. Back then, if somebody tested positive for hepatitis B, they couldn't donate, but that was a whole bunch of false positives. So now they have a better test where they can actually donate without testing positive for hepatitis B. People that don't want to donate because they have fears of needles or have heard terrible things about needles or how they could get HIV or AIDS from them. It makes people feel good to donate. It makes them feel accomplished and selfless. Standard precautions. Nurses take standard precautions because they don't want to accidentally get poked by a needle that somebody has already used and get a disease if they had had one. The state has made these plans and safety controls because they, again, want to keep people safe and don't want anybody to get harmed because of them. They need to wear gloves when they give somebody's blood, because if they have a cut on their hand and if they get blood, somebody else's blood onto them, they never know if they have a disease until they get sent to the lab. Infections with needles. If somebody gets stabbed with a needle, you can get HIV or AIDS, and then you're stuck with it forever. Possible diseases. You can get hepatitis A, B, or C from needles, or AIDS or HIV. And also you can get sickle cell disease, which is more common in African Americans than in the white people. Blood is an important role in our bodies. Blood runs through our bodies. The circulatory system is what pushes it through the body. The heart is the most important part because the heart pushes it through the body and makes us have more cells. Plasma is made from whitened blood cells, and that, if you donate that, then you can be donating for hours at a time. Everyone's life matters. If you donate just one time, you can help save a life. A lot of people need blood transfusions, and there's not enough donors out there to give everybody a blood transfusion. My blood drive. So my timeline, I got pre-approved in August to start working on everything. I had a lot of trouble contacting blood banks. They did not want to answer emails, so finally I had to find somebody that had their number to personally get a hold of them. I had set up meetings with 2 blood banks, and then we just sat down and talked about how we would get all this started and to make flyers and get people signed up. We had to make sure that they had a time and date that coordinated with the schools, with all the sports and other activities going on. It was hard because the school wanted to do it November 3rd, and they had another blood drive that day, so we had to push it up to earlier than what it was supposed to be. We scheduled the blood drive in the Bears Den, and then we just went from there. Maybe. This is the part where it takes forever. This is the flyers that I had made. Oh. I don't know why that one won't pop up, but there's one that the Red Cross had made, and then that other one in the corner is the one I made for our social medias and all of the flyers hanging around school. We advertised with the Facebook post, and then I went around in town and posted in grocery stores and on bulletin boards by Pizza Americana. So about noon on November 3rd, I went into the Bears Den and helped set up everything for it. We also got pizza and snacks for the people that had already donated. We hosted the blood drive about 1 o'clock. Oh. And these are some pictures. That was Stacy and Bailey who came and donated. Over here we had the snack bar, and over here is when you got, where you got checked in, and then went over here to these seats to wait for somebody to come call you. Here's Brady and Caitlin donating blood, and that was Mason and Zeppelin afterwards, after they had already donated. And here's my works cited. Thank you. Do my judges have any questions?
So you plan to go into the medical field, am I right?
Yeah. Hopefully I'll go get my RN.
Are you going to VOTEC right now?
Yes.
And so you'll have your
Yeah.
CNA?
Yeah. I have to, I was short on like 5 hours, so tomorrow I have to go in and make up the rest of my hours to take my test.
I know you said that makes you feel good when you help someone.
Yeah.
I used to give blood all the time, but they won't take mine now because of medication I take. But it always made me feel better, even physically,
Yeah.
because in the past I had been told from time to time that my blood was thick,
Mhm.
and I guess getting some of it out helped me feel better.
Mhm.
And the last time that I gave the blood and platelets both.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Studies have shown that if you donate once a year, it helps with heart attacks and with your circulatory system. And I mean, now they have the technology where you can follow your blood to see where it goes and how far it's gone. Yeah.
To know.
Yeah. They have like a blood tracker now on the Red Cross app. So, did you track yours?
Madison was super excited when she got her little
Oh.
notification of where her blood was.
Oh.
She thought that was super cool.
Do young people under 18, do they have to have parent consent?
If you're 16, you have to, but once you're 17, you won't have to have one.
So are you signed up to go to work, get your RN?
No, not yet. I'm gonna take a year off, hopefully when he gets older, and then I'm gonna go back to VOTEC to get my LPN.
What was the hardest part?
Probably getting a hold of the blood banks and them working with me because it was really hard. I know that I even had to have Miss Wilson email them before they even texted me back or called me.
I talked to a friend and give blood one time, passed out, and ended up having to miss the rest of his day at work. And
Oh.
the next day, I don't know what it done, but it really affected me. He said, I'll never do that again.
Oh, yeah.
But I know one of the things is you need to be sure you're very hydrated.
And eat a
All that.
lot.
That's
Yeah.
part of what happened to him.
Yeah, there was a girl that had a seizure at the blood drive because she didn't eat before she came and donated. Do my judges have any more questions? Thank you. I definitely botched that. I do not.
I'm really good at that. Big old pupils.
How red is my face? I didn't even think I got that one. Yeah, well, I had it all memorized and then just.
Are my judges ready? Okay. Have you ever had a problem where you couldn't find the item you were looking for because someone put it in the wrong place? Well, me too, but I can't help you with that. But I can help you with an organization that'll help you find them items easier. And I think off-grid living will make you more independent than dependent upon companies such as grocery stores and internet. And but that does not mean that you have to live without cell phone or internet. It just means that you are too far for your service to connect to your cell phone, or you are too far from the phone tower. So from sawdust to heartwarming delight. Hi, I'm Haley Gould, and living without companies means, like I said, living without internet and stores and stuff. But that all doesn't mean that you have to live without them items. It just means that either you cannot, it's too far out, or it just cannot connect at all. I forgot to click that, sorry. And then no clean water, which if you don't have that, that means you'll have to purify it. And you can purify it by using paper towels, coffee filters, and boiling. But you can also get your water from rainfall, creeks, rivers, any water source that you can think of. No power grid access. Okay, if you don't have any solar panels or generators, that means you do not have any power unless you have them items. No waste disposal. You have to have some type of septic system for your waste. If not, you can have a lagoon, but I don't necessarily think you would want one of those because you live off grid, you have to use a shovel, and a lagoon is just a big hole in the ground for it to go there. Growing your own food, which when you live off grid, you have to grow your own food. Or, yeah, grow your own food. There's staple crops, which is potatoes and squash, but it is important for survival. And then field crops is easy to grow, and it is beans, corn, and wheat. Yeah, easy to grow. And then secondary crops are tomatoes, eggplants, strawberries, and melons. But with these, the life cycle is the 3 to 5 months, but the roots, you want to make sure they're growing as they're supposed to, because they do grow larger than any other field crops. And then they do not provide significant calories. Okay, reason for my project is no access to furniture stores, which that means you cannot just go into a furniture store and buy furniture, such as coffee tables, couches, love seats, chairs, dining table. You'll have to learn how to make those. And then I thought it would be a great experience, because I do know when you live off grid, you have to learn how to make things, such as the items I listed. And even though I do not live off grid, I still thought it would be a great idea. So I made a food pantry shelf. And my first step was cutting down the tree. And then I had to take it to the mill saw. I had to make it slabs, and then I had to plane it. And then step 2 was to measure it. And then I had to mark the measurements out and cut them. And after I did that, I had to pre-drill the holes. because I use cedar. With cedar, it tends to crack if you don't pre-drill the holes. So I had to pre-drill the holes for it not to crack, because if it cracked, I had to restart all over. That would not have been fun. And then I had to sand. And why I sanded after I pre-drilled is because after I pre-drilled the holes, I had splinters coming from the holes. So I had to sand them so it wouldn't mess the screws up. And then the screws, I had to make sure I had the right size and if they were going in correctly and everything else with the screws. And then I made letters on my shelf, and I used tape, razor blade, and paper for that, and nail polish. And how I did that is that me and my sister got on the internet, and we searched the items up, such as Class of 24 and Love Mom. We traced them out, and we cut them out with the razor blade. We used the tape to tape it on the wood. And then we used the nail polish to put the letters on there. But we had to wait until the nail polish was dry before we took the tape off, because if not, it would have messed the nail polish up. Step 4 was clear coating. I had to make sure I was putting the clear coat on evenly, because if not, I would left globs. And if I left globs, I would have to resand it and make sure that I had it all sanded correctly without the globs. And then I would have to re-clear coat it and then wait another 2 hours because I used polyurethane, which took 2 hours for it to dry. And then the handles. Like I said, I had to pre-drill the holes before I put the screws in. But the handles were a little bit tricky because I clear coated the wood before I pre-drilled the handles, because I wasn't for sure how I wanted to put the handles on. But like after I pre-drilled the holes, I sanded the holes and then I put the screws in. But I had complications with the screws because my board warped. And when my board warped, it just folded in a little bit because the heat took a little bit of moisture out, I do believe. That's how it works. So I had to put a washer in my screw, and then I put it in my door for the handle to stay on, so it wasn't too long and too loose. My hinges, we just went out and bought them, and I had to pre-drill the holes on those too, but we just put them on there and hoped for the best. Challenges. Like I said, pre-drilling. I kept forgetting that I had to pre-drill cedar because I've never worked with cedar before until now. So I kept forgetting that I had to pre-drill them. And then next was the screws was not attaching correctly. What I mean by that is that the screws were hitting the inside of the shelf and would leave little holes on the shelf, in which I did not want that, so I had to go back to the store and get shorter screws so it would attach correctly. And then holding the screwdriver straight. I could not do that whatsoever. So anytime I went to put the screws in, it would go in crooked. So I had to take them back out and re-put them in. And sometimes that makes the hole bigger, so you'll have to go back out and get bigger screws. But we made that work. Finally was able to hold the screwdriver straight. This is what my project looked like, as you guys can tell. My judges have any questions?
So had you done like woodworking before?
I did go to woodshop here in class, but when I was little, I used to take random wood pieces together and put them together for fun.
I can't do anything straight. I'm used to get the wall a straight line.
Yeah.
You did a good job on straight right there.
Thanks. Oh, and I would show you guys the inside. I forgot to do that. You can open it. Everything.
What was the hardest part?
I say catching my mentor was the hardest part because he works out. He finished works on houses because it's Dave Weimer. We all know him. It's very hard to get a hold of him. So that I say that there was probably my hardest thing to do because I had to call him. And in my opinion, he's too old for a cell phone. But he never picked up the phone call at all. Any more questions?
Gonna build next.
Well, probably a house.
Is this gonna be a career for you?
It depends if my automotive takes off. If my automotive doesn't take off,
Side
then
job?
yeah, I would rely on this.
So are you gonna, is this for mom?
Yes.
I mean, that's a really, how long did it take you to make that?
I'm gotta say like 2 months and a half. Yeah, because I just wanted it perfect for my mom.
You did a really, really good job.
Thank
Things
you.
like that could, be a side job,
Yeah.
earn you a little extra.
Well,
Because you did a really good job of finding good woodworking skill, people with good working skills.
yeah. Well, thank you. Do I take this thingy off now? Yes. One more question.
You have to dry the lumber before you could build it, or?
Well, after we planed it, we set it in the garage and we didn't touch it for like a good week. And then we cut them down to size and then we brought the doors inside. So I think that's why it worked because it was cold when we brought them in and cut them. So I'm really not 100% sure if we just left them there to dry or not.
No, I didn't know if you have to dry cedar as much as you would
I don't think so.
pine or something.
No, I don't think so. No.
So they made their bed frame too.
Oh, they did?
The cedar and the cedar chest.
Yeah.
Oh, if you don't dry it, you get a lot of shrinkage.
Yes. Mhm. All right.
Good job, Haley. Good job. You were a cheerleader. Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
Yes, she's very calm. I haven't had really much of a fuss with her since the day she's born. Sleeps good at night. Hardly gets up unless I take her.
I don't like this thing.
Do you want to stay in here for mine? If she comes home with us.
We have two more, we have two, wait,
5:20 to 6 o'clock.
yeah, I go from 5 to 5. We got one more now. No, yeah. There's one more 5. I see where you put it. This one's next. Then we go have lunch.
Okay, like, okay, so she was until the very end with her poster. The problem we're having is that the frame, where they have to push us on the left side, so when they put their poster on the other side, it's like pretty much out of frame. Like there, is that okay? Or can we move it over a little bit? Yeah. Okay, all right, thanks.
It's the one down at the bottom, it's the Times Row. These three, right? This is this one. We go to side one. We got three more then, right? 6, 26. I thought we had 7 to 7, we should have changed it.
Mine start coughing or yelling. And coughing here and there.
Yeah, that looks a lot better. That gets the,
Okay.
all of that. Thank you. Okay. Do I just start?
Anastasia. It's fine. It's like, you guys are not leaving until I meet that little girl. It's 5 o'clock. Okay. Are my judges ready? Do you ever have that problem where you can't find a blanket and it's really cold? Me too. I can help you make a quilt and it's way easier than you think it is. It takes patience and time. Not only did I want to solve this problem, but I wanted a product to preserve memories and traditions. Hi, I'm Raylan Bloomer, and I think family traditions are important to pass down and preserve. Are family traditions important? Some say yes. They say traditions and cultures should be preserved and handed down from generation to generation. Some say no. They say times have changed, the traditions are outdated, and there's no real reason to continue them. Over the years, quilting has evolved with new techniques and new equipment. And quilting can incorporate many different designs, colors, and textures. Quilting was brought to Canada by the first pioneer woman who brought sewing skills from the European countries. The problem with making functional quilts was the lack of materials because the cloth shipments were irregular and the production of cloth took a long process. It could take up to 2 years to raise sheep and turn their wool into quilting linen. Due to the lack of materials and hard economic conditions, patchwork quilts were born, and they are worn-out pieces of dyed material. They learned this from the Indians, and it's a symbol of stability and family. Women did everything by hand, so they were extremely skilled in design and hand needlework. And they made quilts for many reasons, like a marriage, loss of a family member, birth of a child, a gift, or to raise money. Quilting in the past was a necessity because during the Great Depression, functional quilts were made for bombed out war victims, and decorative quilts were made for fundraising. In 1851, Isaac Sr. introduced a sewing machine with a vertical and straight needle, and it helped with faster production, and this released hundreds of thousands of women from endless hours of hand stitching. Quilting can provide social interactions to children and teach them how to use their imagination. The art of quilting delivers education when adults encourage children to work and move around the room, to talk about the design process and create new patterns from familiar elements of their lives. Why I quilt is my grandma is a quilter, and I watched her make 2 quilts for my niece and nephew a few years ago, and I wanted to see how hard it was to do one. And I wanted to continue the tradition of quilting in my family and preserve memories throughout high school. While new ideas and advancements are great, I think traditions and skills should be passed down through generation and generation to continue to be an important part of life. When making my quilt, the first step was to prepare the shirts for interfacing. And interfacing is a rough material that you iron down onto the shirt so it'll make it stiffer and not stretchy. Next, we cut the borders for the bottom of the shirt and sew a shirt to the border and to make 3 long strips. And I applicated 2 patches like this one with a zigzag stitch. The next step was to add longer borders for in between the strips I made. And next, I basted it, and this means I took the front, the back, and the batting and put it all together with embroidery thread and sewed it all along the edges so it can be together and not falling apart when I'm sewing it. Next, I use the stitch in the ditch method to sew it block by block from middle block outward to prevent wrinkles. And the stitch in the ditch method is when you sew in an existing seam so you don't see your stitches. Next, I put the binding border on. I had a lot of challenges because this was my first time making a quilt. And my first challenge was learning how to use the machine properly. Like, I had to learn how to thread it through the machine and everything. And the interfacing did not want to stick sometimes onto the shirt, so to solve that, I just held the iron down longer onto the shirt to have it stick. And going off track when doing the stitch in the ditch method, it was hard to stay on track. And as you can see on some parts, I messed up and had to backtrack to get back on track. And I had to stay focused for like 2 months to do this because unlike other quilters, they have many quilts going, so they don't get bored of one, so they have multiple quilts going. And I couldn't do that, so I had to stay focused on this one quilt for 2 months. Each generation must know where their culture heritage comes from and understand the things that were once important to their family members. Quilting was once a necessity. Quilting has become a pastime shared around the world because of today's technology. Quilting has turned into an art form that can be shared and passed down from generation to generation. Do my judges have any questions?
Did you do all that with the machine, or did you have to do that hand stitch?
I did all this by the machine, and I just had to pin it down. Like the borders, I had to pin them down. The patches, I had to pin those down. And the only thing I did by hand was the basting, and just to sew them all along the edges.
I need somebody to do that. I don't sew. I don't sew. He sews.
Those are made out of t-shirts, aren't they?
Yeah, I know the cheerleading shirts.
I like have all my baby clothes from when she's newborn and just sew it all together and make them one little quilt.
Yeah.
So what was the absolute hardest part of this project?
I would say sewing it all together because I had to like shove the whole quilt into the one tiny space for your arm to go through, and I had to sew like block by block, so that was kind of challenging.
And did you do all of that here at school?
Yeah, I had to work around my VOTEC classes. So when I didn't have VOTEC, I would go into Mrs. Wilson's room and start working on my quilt when I don't have VOTEC.
You were talking about the interfacing, that's on the back side of the...
Yeah, the back side of the shirts.
The reason I was asking about that, we would talk to a lady, about 2 years ago, at Branson West that quilts, and she said with t-shirt material, you had to put the interfacing on the back to work with it.
Yeah, it's so it won't make it stretchy.
Yeah, because she said it stretches real
Yeah.
well.
Very pretty. I mean, it looks really good.
You're gonna do more quilting?
Can we see the back side? Is that like?
And Miss Wilson's mom actually made this part right here. It says my name, WASHS, class of 2024. She made that.
I come from a family of quilters, and I've done some. My aunts and hand quilting,
Yeah.
and it's very tedious. So I commend
Yeah, and that's called a quilting bee, and a quilting bee is a gathering of people in a community to do a large job together.
That's quite an undertaking. I commend you for that. That's a lot of work right there.
Yeah. Do you need me to pack this down there?
Yeah, are you still coming home with me?
I think so, yeah.
Ha, she's with me.
I forgot all about it. Anastasia.
Right at about 8.
Yeah, you better walk.
Are my judges ready? Have you guys ever wanted to help our future generations with our future America? Well, I have, and my name is Zachary Headings. The way we learn is connections in the brain and muscle memories. One of the most important things that how children learn is they see stuff, they do the stuff, and muscle memories are the same thing. Help the young and disabled. First, we need to understand autism and other disabilities. Autism is a mental disorder in the brain, and also it can slow the process of walking. Why should we help? They need to be independent when they grow up, and they need to have more muscle mass when they grow up. One most important thing for children is freedom. If they don't have freedom, then what are they here for? Brain connectivities, that is another important aspect for children. If they don't have the right connections in the brain, then they won't be able to see or talk to our future generation. What to do is support them along and make sure that they don't fall and hit their head or anything, so they can be healthy as a baby and help them along. So for my senior project, I painted and pressure washed the preschool stairs. Right there I am pressure washing and preparing for painting, and then here I'm doing the first layer of our maroon bear paws, and then here's the maroon and black together, and then here's her using the bear paws and he's using them. There I'm prepping and cleaning the stairs. Challenges in my project was time, weather, and paint scheduling. But one of the most important challenges is before this I was going to do Help Feeding America pack 1,000 bags of food. But unfortunately that's a health hazard for their guidelines. And so unfortunately that had to be passed along and find a new project. Solutions, I had to be adaptive to all my challenges and just overcome them. Learning, during this project I've learned that family is one of the most important aspects in life, and there's no amount of time that you can spend too much with family. I had to learn how to be creative while I'm doing this project for painting and also making the bear paws. Thank you, and if judges have any questions.
How long did it take you to paint?
Roughly a week. Any more questions? Thank you, guys.
No, that will be out of the picture, babe. We might want to put it right here. How's that? Does that work for you? Yeah. There you go.
Are my judges ready? Have you ever wondered what's out in space and if there's maybe anything alive out there, or all the theories that a lot of people have come up with, maybe some conspiracy theories? Hi, my name is Soraya Havens, and this is History of Space. Wormholes are like a ripple or a rip in the outer space, and if you were to go through it, you would come out in a different spot in space. And if there were an atom or just any type of matter in that wormhole, if you were to go through it, it would destroy your body or whatever goes through it. But there is no real evidence that these exist. The Big Bang Theory is the theory of an explosion that caused the universe to appear, and supposedly it created matter and mass and everything that's just in the universe. The multiverse theory is a theory where if you were to think about anything, like what if this happened, or what if this show or movie were actually to happen, what if it was real, the multiverse theory is basically like, if you were to think that, it would happen. It would have happened in a different reality. And it's like if you were to zoom out of, a lot of theories would be like if you were to zoom out of the universe, there would be multiple different orbs, which would be the Milky Way, the galaxy, and things like that. NASA was originally created to defend and to help research outer space with the flights for inside and outside the atmosphere. And it also helped create the Hunch Project, which is a project in schools where they would practice activities and hands-on experiences to expand their creativity and help with their self-esteem. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mechanics. It's good that this is taught in school because it can inspire a lot of students to become, like, maybe they want to become a scientist or a mechanic, maybe they want to build rockets, maybe they want to learn more about mathematics so that they can learn more about space and like how to build rockets and be an astronaut maybe. The NASA's Kids Club, it basically speaks for itself. It's a kids club that students attend to learn more about space and do fun activities to learn more about it, and it's a very good learning experience for them. There are a lot of space books in the library, and it's nice to read them even if you aren't interested in outer space. It's good to expand your curiosity, maybe like if you want to know more about like what's out there. It's good encouragement for kids who want to become a astronaut or an astronomer, and it can encourage them to continue their dreams. And even if they don't want to be that anymore, it's good to give them that experience of having fun learning about what they loved as a kid. My project is a painting of Saturn in front of a nebula. I use sponges for the nebula, and for the edges of the nebula, I used a thinner paintbrush, like a flat paintbrush, to make it pop out a little bit. And for Saturn, I used just normal paintbrushes, and the same for the background. And for the stars, I used a toothbrush to sprinkle the stars around the painting. I chose this painting because I want to inspire those who look at it to maybe they want to also become an artist, or maybe they want to learn more, and maybe I can spike their interest by using brighter colors to show how beautiful it can be. One of the challenges I had was time. This was only a small problem near the end because I had just gotten a job and it consumed more of my time than I thought it would. It was only 2 days a week, but usually I would leave my painting at school because I left it in my mentor's classroom so I can have help with it. But I usually didn't really have help with my mentor because I just went along with it and figured out what to do. But starting off, I did have a little bit of trouble, and that's when I had help with my mentor. So she helped me pick out the colors and what I should do for the background. I learned how to paint better because I'm not a huge painter. This was my first finished painting, my first finished painting that I've been proud of and feel like I actually accomplished. And maybe I kind of might want to paint more in the future. I made it pop out with the vibrant colors and the bright colors around the edges, so that, in my opinion, if you look at it more far away, it looks better and looks more like it's popping out. The benefits of my project, I want kids to look at it and like I said before, I want them to be interested and be curious about what's out there, and it could make them maybe they want to learn more about it in school. Maybe they want to pursue in their dreams. I want them to pursue in their dreams from being in school and learning about STEM, learning about outer space and astronomy. Maybe they want to become an astronomer or a astronaut, or maybe they just want to learn about space in general, not become anything like that. And I wanted it to intrigue others about the colors and the beauty of space that is out there. Outer space is a very beautiful thing, but it can also be very scary. And I want people that are interested in it, I want them to be able to learn more about it and learn more about like how nebulas are made, or like how hot or cold planets are, or why they are. Maybe
why they, like why some of them are either getting closer to the sun or moving more far away from the sun, and things like that. Do my judges have any questions? I use acrylic paint for all of it, actually. Yeah. I might, yeah. I hope. Thank you.
I wouldn't know that was your first one. Been interested in science and space?
I have been interested in space for a long time. I have a lot of books at home about them. But I don't really want to become an astronaut or astronomer. I just like learning about it and like knowing more about it. But I just want to be an artist.
What's the next thing you're gonna paint?
I don't know yet. I'll probably look online and look for inspirations. I usually sketch or draw digitally. Thank you. Thank you.
You've got about 7 minutes, babe, so if you wanna, you've got some time.
Are my judges ready? You are an elementary student sitting in class and start to get overwhelmed and don't know how to self-regulate your emotions. Now, your teacher gets very frustrated at your outbursts that happen regularly because they have no teaching methods or no understanding for these outbursts. Now, to you, these outbursts are a typical thing on a typical day, and you have no way of expressing them or understanding them. Hi, my name is Rosa Fotos, and sensory stimuli is very important for the self-regulation of children in a school environment. Now, I'm sure we've all at some point heard of neurotypical and neurodivergent. What is neurotypical? Well, it is able to filter the sensory stimuli, and it performs at a close age. They also perform at a close age level. They can also process information like peers and unable to filter. Now, neurodivergent is where they're unable to filter sensory stimuli and sometimes very awfully get overwhelmed and as well as unusually advanced in some areas. Now, they are below age level function in other areas, and they also process information differently than their peers. Now, sensory. Sensory processing is the process of sensory, and they process their emotions in the way they process their emotions to an environment. Sensory stimuli is the way the brain is wired through the senses and is typically like involved with special needs. Multisensory environment is multiple sensories in one environment happening in one place at all times. Now, self-regulation, and what is it? It is understanding and managing their emotions as well as controlling their reactions. So they control their reactions with their emotions to stuff that is happening to them in their environment. Now, special education. Now, in my local school, there is a special education, and we are typically seen in what is it? It's an educational accommodation for qualifying neurodivergent students, like students who are diagnosed with autism, who are also nonverbal, or handicapped. So we have a lot of those close to us. Now, my product was a sensory board. Now, you may be wondering, what is a sensory board? Well, to me, a sensory board would be a safe place for these children, as well as they can self-regulate. They can self-regulate their emotions, say they are getting overwhelmed and have no idea how to fix their emotions or control it. They are able to go to this board and come back to their class environment, being able to control their anger or their frustration. And it's an environment that these kids are familiar with, so they feel comfortable going to, and they know the location, and they feel like, again, it's a safe place. Now, I first had to start off by getting plywood. So I got a big square of plywood, cut it in half, and I painted one side that was going to be like my base, and I painted it black so then it was able to have the colors that, the type of colors of fabric I was putting on this board were going to be vibrant enough that it stands out to catch the eye. Now, the other half of the board, I ended up taking it and cutting it into 16 different squares, and we did them by 11 by 11. and I had to make sure to sand all 16 of them. So I sanded as well as 16. I also sanded the big one. So by doing that, I had to sand both sides, front and back, and both sides. Now, the reason of why I sanded them was because the kids would be touching these boards with their hands, and I didn't want to worry about them getting splinters. So I had to make sure it was smooth enough that they weren't going to get hurt. Next, after I made sure to sand them, I tested it out by taking one of my fabrics, which was a pillowcase. Now, it was a silk one, so it was the silk texture. So I took it and I made sure to cut it a certain amount so it would wrap around my board very securely, and it was flat enough. Now, the way I secured the fabric to the boards was taking a staple gun, and due to taking the staple gun, I had to make sure that the staples weren't going to poke through. With all 16, I did not run into that issue. Then I took wood glue, and I was able, after taking all the fabrics to each board, I was able to take the wood glue, stick it on, and I did the wood glue to make sure as an extra security to that it was going to be extra secured to the board. Next, I ended up taking tape and taping them all down so that I could flip it easily. So it took 3 people to flip it. Once we flipped it, we were able to match each tape to a screw. So I had to screw 64 screws into this board. And luckily for me, none of the screws came out and poked out. And that was a bit of a concern at first, but I was able to do it safely. Now, these are children that are from my local special ed in the elementary. Now, I mainly did this for them because I noticed this one student, when I was teaching in the special ed, he started getting overwhelmed from another kid's reaction or outburst. So due to this, he started getting overwhelmed himself and he could not self-regulate. So a way that I felt like would be a good environment for him to be able to go to so he can get the self-regulation for himself was my sensory board. Now, these kids are all part of the special ed, so they all have some type of diagnosis, and I believe that it worked in a good way for them. Now, there were a couple challenges that I ran into. One of my challenges being sensory tools. I ended up collecting a bunch of sensory tools at the beginning, thinking that they would be able to fasten onto my boards in a safe way, but turns out that I ended up not going with this original plan due to it not being able to stay on the board for a long period of time. This board would have been up in the elementary for many, many years, and I had to think about ways that it was not going to fall off, break, or anything like that. Next would be budget. With my budget, I ended up having a limit of 125. Now, due to that, I was doing fabric, so I decided to go to thrift stores. Now, one of my local thrift stores ended up having jackets for the winter, and each jacket cost $5. Now, when that started adding up, it became a challenge for me because the money started adding up, so I was deciding I would rather not do that. So I ended up going to the kids section and finding different types of material that would work. Next was feedback. With the feedback I got, I made a list of about 5 questions and sent it out to the elementary. And I would say I checked back in frequently throughout 2 weeks, but the final date was 2 weeks. When it came up to that, I realized I had no response, which was kind of shocking to me. So I had to figure out a way for myself to see how my board was affecting these kids throughout the elementary. So I decided firsthand to take my A-plus kids down in a group of like maybe 5, and I took them down and I was able to see firsthand how they reacted to it, how it helped them. And one thing I noticed was one little boy, he was very shy, very like to his own self, but I noticed a big change when he came to this board. He started interacting, he started talking to me, he started being more one-on-one with peers, and he was able to actually express his emotions, which to me was a very positive outlook on this. Sensory stimuli is very important for young kids, and they should start off young. Now, the autism kids, they can't self-regulate all the time, so sometimes they need that extra help or that extra push. Thank you. Do any of my judges have any questions? Yes. Are you interested in education? Yes. I'm looking into that, and I'm looking maybe over the summer of going to the one in town and working with them, because a lot of them come to the special ed here, and that was my mentor, was a special ed teacher, and they started asking about my board. So they started hearing about me and started hearing good things. So I was very into them and very like, I want to learn more about them. So I want to help them too. Thank you.
Do the different colors make a difference with different children? Or?
A little, like the vibrant ones, I feel like they mostly got drawn to. Like the bright colors, I feel like they did. Or to me, it was mainly like the textures. Because I asked the question of what was their favorite texture. And to them, it was a lot of like the bumpy ones or like the really good material type ones.
Something,
Yeah.
maybe a smaller scale, but you
Yeah.
could add some of those other sensory
Mhm. Yeah, at first I was kind of like, because I made it able for in a hallway for all the kids. So like a lot of people thought at first I was going to make it just for the special ed room, but I think a smaller one would be cool to make for them personally, because it would be cool.
And become a special ed teacher,
Mhm.
then you could make it for your students.
If I ever go into that, I would definitely have one in my classroom. Okay. Yeah, I definitely heard about that too. I like that idea. Is that all? Okay.
She wasn't feeling too good either way. Yeah.
Was Skylar done?
Yeah, she went out 6. No, she ain't coming. Told her to stay out of here.
Oh my goodness. You big old me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not leaving, so.
I know you're not. Too many people in here anyways.
You'll be fine.
Yeah,
Everybody so far survived it. They've all walked out alive and okay.
maybe.
There's not anybody yet. Yeah.
That could be a first.
There's always that one kid.
Yeah, it'll be me.
No, it won't. You're gonna be fine.
You'll do great.
Hopefully. Let's
I
go.
used to be one that couldn't get up in front of people.
Oh, yeah?
Became a preacher.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta start somewhere then, I guess.
With the help of God, I can get up in front of people.
Yep. Amen.
My thing is like, as far as teaching, getting in front of kids, nobody but your peers. That's what's hard. People that are your same.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Had her as a teacher. Had her as a teacher. Pretty much had you as a teacher. You've just been there. I know you.
I'm just me.
And of course, she's been a teacher for me for a while.
Always got your back.
Most days.
Who's your mentor?
Mr. Bill.
Life treating you good now.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's amazing what a change in.
Thanks.
Better than
Oh, she don't feel good.
I want to see the real thing. It's just that you don't see the real thing.
Is that Scotty? Oh.
Looks just like it.
probably already figured out why grandbabies are called grand.
We always said if we knew the grandkids are so awesome, we could skip the kids and just tell the grandkids.
You gotta have the grandkids though. Right?
I know you got a ways to go, but wait till great grandkids. They can get great.
And my oldest granddaughter's 13 in January. Can you believe that? And I'm visiting. We're gonna go out there. Are they being? Huh? We got our flight already. I said, so he messaged, said, can you put up for 20 days? She said, they were.
Sherry
See, I
told
wanna
you
go
about
at
our
the
trip
beginning of
last year.
June.
We drove out.
Well, I wanna go
Got
at
to see
the
the
beginning of June
grandkids.
because Jordan is
Hoover
in
Dam.
dance, so she's going to recital on the 2nd of June. And then Addie does soccer. So,
Amber has birthday.
yeah, and then so Amber's like, well, it's Father's Day and then my birthday's the next day. I said, I think she's getting from her birthday.
Oh, okay. I guess. How much ready is this gonna get? Are my judges ready? Have you ever accidentally had a fire alarm go off when it wasn't supposed to? Well, I haven't, let me tell you, it was quite an experience. So me and a buddy one day were out in the woods shooting squirrels, and we had decided to pack it up and head home. So we had to go through 3 fields to get back home, and on the very last field that we had to go through, we ended up hitting a bump that we had forgotten about and ended up coming off of all 4 wheels and slamming back down and then having the fire alarm go off. Thankfully, nobody else was hurt and everything was okay, but still, it was still quite an experience. Hello. Hello, my name is Danny Bean and this is Unlocked and Loaded. Being responsible with a firearm is very important, It can cause very bad habits if you don't. Handle the firearm as if it was loaded. Don't be throwing it around and twirling it around your little fingers like as if it was a plastic toy gun. Keep it out of children's reach. Don't ever leave your firearm in an open area. That way children or a child could reach it at any given point in time. Have a designated spot to keep it. I mean, don't leave it out like normal and like you would if you were just staying by yourself, because people can come over and end up using your firearm whenever they please to if you do leave it out like that. Only aim at something that is meant for shooting. Don't ever aim it at a buddy just because you don't think it can go off because the safety is on, because we had figured that out very easily. So it can cause very bad habits if you aim at something that isn't meant for shooting, because at some point in given time it will go off and then you will have many regrets followed by it. The use of a firearm, there are many uses of a firearm, but the main use is military protection. Military uses firearms to protect the United States from other countries and bad guys. Sporting events such as shooting clay pigeons and trap are used with shooting a shotgun, so therefore there are many different types of guns that you can use for this type of sporting, but I would prefer to use a shotgun. You can use many different guns for hunting, but I would prefer to use a hunting rifle, because at that point you can shoot a deer or whatever game you're hunting at that point from at least 150 to 200 yards away, and that's pushing it. So I would just prefer to use a rifle. It's more accurate than pretty much any other gun when it comes to shooting game. And self-protection. If it ever comes down to it, you can always use a firearm to protect yourself from whatever harm that you may be in. Many people would say that gun control is a very argumentable speech, but many don't know what it exactly is. So gun control is any legal measure that intends to prevent or restrict the use of any firearms, meaning that if you do not have to use a firearm, then they do not want you to. It's important because gun control can reduce the crime that is done with firearm. Same goes for that. They just don't want you to use a firearm to keep up the crime rate. The Second Amendment, same goes for gun control. Many people can say that Second Amendment is a big argument too, but still don't understand what it is. It's the right to bear arms. It protects an individual's rights to possess a firearm, and it is a right given by the Constitution. So that means so therefore it cannot be taken away by the Constitution, because it is a given right by them. It is important because it protects Americans with means of protection and self-defense. So if you are feeling any in danger or feeling a threat too close to you, then you can bury your arms and use whatever stuff you have around you to protect yourself. I chose my topic because I enjoy hunting. The first time I went hunting was with a buddy of mine about 3 years ago, and we had sat in the stand for at least 4 or 5 hours before we had even seen something. But after a couple more minutes passed by from seeing the first deer, we ended up putting down one deer, which he did that, and then not even 30 minutes later, I ended up putting down a deer myself. So the reason why I enjoy it is because even if you don't get any deer or anything that you are hunting, you can still sit down and really, being out in the tree stand or whatever stand you're in can really calm your nerves, and just listening to nature itself can really help with your anxiety and nerves if you're like me. Another reason why is because I love guns. For me, my brother is a big enthusiast on why I love guns. He has a very large amount of guns, and so whenever he comes down from Kansas, which is where he's from, he always brings a couple new guns of his, and we always end up having a good time shooting them all day and seeing what all we can shoot with them. So that's why I enjoy shooting guns and whatnot. This is my product. So how I built this was I Craig's jigged 2 boards together. Craig's jig is a tool that I used throughout this whole entire project to make this cabinet happen. And how it does it, what that tool does is it creates pocket holes in the sides of on top of the sides of boards and whatnot, so you can screw it in together to make one big board if you needed to. Like this picture here, it shows a little pocket hole, and then this picture, it also shows that I clamped the 2 boards together, because when I did that, I set a line of glue on the edge of the board and then clamped it together. That way it had a stronger hold. This is just another picture of the bottom half of the cabinet. That's the very first thing I ever started on when I started this process, was the bottom half. And then later on down the line, I had started on the top half, and then once I got a decent enough amount done for the top, I had connected the 2 together to make one. And then this is just the top frame of the ammo storage that you guys had seen. And then this was my product. I think I did all right. This was the very first big process that I had tried by myself. The only thing I've really tried before was building a wood cedar bench, and I did all right on that too, but I really just wanted to challenge myself to see what I could actually come up with, and that is what I came up with. I chose my project because I wanted a place to keep my gear, my firearms, and my ammo, because if you're anything like me, you're normal and lose a lot of your gear and ammo around the house just because you have too much of it, or you just didn't have a designated spot to keep it. And a firearm, on the other hand, I always know where every single one of my firearms is, either way, and normally they're laying up against the wall in a closed door in a closed room with a lock on it. And then I just wanted to challenge myself, like I said. I mean, that was the very first big project I had done by myself, so I think I did pretty good on it. And then the skills I used to complete my project was woodworking. My grandfather, he's a big woodworking enthusiast, and so I kind of wanted to pick up a trait from him, even though he lives 6.5 hours away back in Kansas, where my hometown is. And so he's always big in cabinetry making and whatnot. And so I just wanted to try to pick up a habit or a hobby of his that he decided to try show me anytime that I go and visit. And then my imagination. So when I first started this project, I had 0 bit of blueprints whatsoever. So everything you had seen came off the top of mine and my mentor, Mr. Bell's head. The challenges, I faced many challenges during this process, but the main one I faced was my original mentor for this senior project had left me in the wind. I was in contact with him all throughout last summer and the beginning of the school year, but then when it came down to making the cabinet itself, he just wouldn't respond to me, wouldn't respond to my calls or texts or anything like that. And so he just, like I said, he just kind of left me in the wind to blow free. And so with that being said, I couldn't really start on my project when I really wanted to, so it just kind of got pushed off until I could find a new mentor. And then finding the time, like I said, without a mentor, it was kind of hard to try and get the cabinet started just by myself and doing it free-handedly, because without my mentor, I had nowhere to go, had no ideas or anything like that. So Mr. Bell, my new mentor that about 3 months ago after Christmas break, he actually just stepped up after he said he had taken too many kids on for mentoring. He stepped up and accepted me and helped me on my cabinet as well. Getting lumber with the economy and whatnot and how it has gotten so expensive, lumber has also been very pricey lately, and so lately I haven't been able to get any lumber from True Value or RP Lumber in West Plains, but Mr. Bell, he had let me, he has a couple piles of lumber down in the shop that he just lets sit there and let kids pull boards out from honey. And so I had ended up pulling like 8 or 10 boards out from the bottom of the pile and then planing them down to make such a new board, I guess you could say. And then not having a set of blueprints, that was kind of tricky to maintain and do, but after we had kind of got a frame put together for it, it was kind of easily put together. And then staying calm and trusting the process. When I first started this cabinet, I really thought I was never going to be able to finish it on time. I thought that it was just going to be sitting in Mr. Bell's shop until somebody else decided to finish it, because I just didn't think that I was ever going to be able to get it done. And so, trusting the process, I was doing one step at a time, and I'm a very impatient guy. And so if I can't do it in one day, then I get pretty frustrated with myself and anything that gets in the way of doing it. And with all that being said, I think I did pretty good on the senior project part itself, because I never, like I said, I never really took on a big project, that big of a project by myself. But throughout staying calm and, you know, trusting the process and having a good little help that I had figured out that I was going to be able to do it and finish it on time. That way I could have a nice senior project and something that I could keep with me for the rest of my life. Do my judges have any questions? No. No.
Did you put a lock or anything on that?
No. I couldn't figure out a way to put a lock on it with it having 2 doors, because normally a gun cabinet has 1 door, and so without it, I mean, I could put 2 key locks on it on each door, but I think that would just look too sloppy and whatnot.
Not building another since you already know how to do it now.
Too many headaches. Too many headaches.
Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it really
Did
is.
awesome job.
Thank you.
Work on any other projects, maybe not
Yeah.
as big?
Absolutely, yeah. When I built the cedar bench that I had talked about, I actually really enjoyed that, because that's something more of, like, it's more tinier and compact, and it's not so largely, and so I didn't really have to think about much of it when I started building it. And so I can honestly just do that off the top of my head if I was really asked to.
You know, you were talking about the freaking firearm as if it's always loaded.
Mm-hmm.
I had a nephew that found that out the hard way. He was 17 and he had loaned a shotgun to a friend.
Yeah.
Told him to unload it when he brought it back. He thought it was unloaded and he went to clean it, and he jacked it like that and had it sticking down the top of the chair. And his foot was under the chair and pushed the trigger and made hamburger out of his foot.
Yep. Yep.
So on his 18th birthday, he had the opportunity to sign papers to get his foot taken off.
That sucks. That really does.
Do you think that guns should be left unloaded or loaded?
Definitely unloaded. I mean, yeah, you can keep the ammo in the mag itself, but always eject the mag and empty the chamber out when you're finished with it.
It's not the best thing to keep on in the chamber.
Yeah. Because even then, it can still go off without the mag.
If you have an intruder comes in your house too, it has quite a psychological effect if they hear it.
Yep. Yep.
Jack one into the chamber.
Yep.
Know it's ready to go.
Oh yeah, easily. But even if you don't feel safe keeping it unloaded, then you can always keep the mag near close by enough. That way, if it does come to it, you can always just pop it in there and pop you one in the chamber and be good.
Some of the things you were saying, it sounded like you were taking a safety course.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. What's my time?
See, you done it without a problem. You ready to do it without a problem? Oh, my motion. Can't believe you're senior.
I can.
And almost done.
He's ready.
Well,
He said we have another one.
yeah, but I'm not, we've got two more here.
Hold on. The one that was emailed to me, we had one at 7 o'clock, but it's not on here.
Well, I've got one for Kyle Lunn at 6:40 and Abigail Kellogg at 7:20. But I don't have either one of their,
We don't have them on here. We got one at 6:40.
The drug controversies.
That's,
yes. Why should we care about drone controversies and crochet the benefits of beautiful art?
who was it 7?
Just have Tilmani on here and I have an open space.
Well, let's see.
Can I go try to find this phone and tell her about that?
Is Kyle on that out there?
Anyway, it was nailed.
Yeah, I did. Hey, I'm in room, I don't know what room I'm in. 131. Hey, depending on what schedule we look at, we've got 2 more people or no more people or 1 more person. No, I didn't look at that paper. I looked at all the other papers. Okay. All right, so yes. Okay. Okay, so we don't have any more. Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, bye.
Oh, no, this one
We're done.
We're done?
Yep. The other 2 that were on here were homebound, and they were done earlier today, but they had to be left on the schedule so they could be scored.
So we don't need to score?
Nope, that's already done. Yep, I will take that. Awesome. Where's our, oh, there we go. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You just make my heart thud.
Did you find that out? Yeah. Okay, good.
I don't know how to turn this, oh, there we go.